Mary. Mary, try and sort this one out. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break.
Oh.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
Yeah.
I think that
Thank you,
one will
Lee. I get my mouth to work.
I think it's probably the nuts. And that'll be the one. Then you can play around with all of it and
Whoosh. I'm having trouble with my mouths today, so bear with me a little bit.
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Is it wired or is it batteries?
No, it's one of those wireless things.
Might need new batteries or charge it. Plug it into the charger.
Well, I put new batteries in it, and it didn't make any difference. I think the light is glommed up. I'm gonna just buy a new one. They're pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Be done with it. Make it
I
disposable.
haven't had it charged yet, but it's USB. You just hook it up.
Huh. How are you, Cassie?
Well, I'm doing good. How are you, Father Fish?
I'm good. You and Mary did a live stream this noon that was really very nice.
Well, thank you. Yes.
Really
we were there so I could do a little unboxing.
Yeah, for your new saltwater tank, right?
Some stuff for the saltwater.
Right. Oh well, that's going to be fun. That'll be real. And you've got a lot of plans for that. That all sounds real interesting. It'll be exciting. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few customers here who just started saltwater tanks in the last month or so, and they're all having a lot of fun with them.
Well, how many fish did they get, and what kind of fish did they take home?
Well, we've had some back and forth. They have a 40. They have a 40-gallon.
Mm-hmm.
And they started out with some cleaning crew, some crabs, hermit crabs, and snails. And then they got some clowns. That was the starter fish. They got a couple of, I think they got 3 per kilo clownfish. So they were the first fish they put in there. And then they got some little cleaner gobies, little blue cleaner gobies. And then they got a really pretty, what's the red angel called? Flame angel. They got a flame angel, which had come out of somebody else's tank. I had it here for about a month. Flame angels are not a fish I normally recommend because they're sensitive.
Yeah.
They've usually gone through quite a lot to get to where they are. They're wild caught. They don't do well. But this one had been in captivity for a couple of years and was very stable. And then they got a triggerfish. Well, that started the trouble. The
Uh-oh.
triggerfish wiped out shrimp, hermit crabs, and snails.
Oh, wow. Was it
Wiped
just
them out.
feeding on them?
Yeah, just ate them all.
Wow.
So they brought him back, and I gave them in exchange for him, I gave them this was today.
Hmm.
They brought him back. I gave him a coral beauty, which is a little dwarf angel, a pygmy angel. It's real pretty. It's blue with some orange to red coloring. Put that in the tank, and immediately the flame angel took after it.
Uh-oh.
So they called me up and they said, this isn't going to work. Flame angel's not going to leave him alone. Which one should we bring in? So I said, well, sounds like you better bring the other terrorist in.
Yeah.
So they brought the flame angel back.
Hmm.
And I gave them a Mandarin goby as a replacement. They've got a pretty well established tank. It's been up for about 2 months with a lot of live culture in it. So they should have enough copepod in there to be able to support the mandarin. Mandarins are a really interesting fish. It's a very small fish.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get more than
They're
2
very
inches
pretty.
long, if that. They stay small, and they're a goby. They kind of hop around on the bottom. They move around on the bottom. They don't come up off the bottom particularly, and they're looking for copepods, worms, other little living critters down in the rocks and in the sand. And they're able in a well established tank. They're able to support themselves really effectively. They're on the prowl all the time. They're eating all the time, and they find enough to be able to sustain themselves. In fact, I had a pair spawn in my big tray about 6 months ago. We had a couple of babies that we were able to keep out of that. So they're a beautiful fish,
Yes.
colorful, pretty, very delicate in the sense of being very gentle. They're not an aggressive fish at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'll be happy with that one. And we'll try to find something else they can put in there, probably a tang. So anyway, that was that story. Yeah.
Is the flame angel the same as the fire angelfish?
I assume so. Yeah. Yeah. A very, very pretty fish.
Yeah, mostly red and orange with a little blue on its tail.
Really hard to keep. They do not ship well. So they tend not to last more than a month or two typically. It's unusual to have one. Really good fish keepers usually will have one or two in their tank that have been in there. But it's not a beginner fish.
Yeah.
It's a fish that takes some TLC to get it kind of over the hump. That's true with a lot of saltwater fish because they're wild caught. They've been pretty severely stressed. They've been caught maybe in the Philippines somewhere. They've been in inadequate containers for weeks at a time, bare minimum weeks at a time, sometimes longer, sometimes a month or 2 months before they make it through all of the hands that they have to pass through until they finally reach a local fish store. And a lot of water changes, a lot of this and that, a lot of stress, and they're not all that strong a fish. Most fish are very strong and sturdy. That's why they make it, because they're able to handle huge amounts of stress. The flame angel is not like that. It's a bit more delicate. Um, once you get it established, it's fine. The one I've got here is solid as a rock. It'll live forever. It's just really super healthy, but that's unusual for that species.
So the goby, you said, would not be a beginner fish either. Is that just because it needs to be in a more set up, longer?
Yeah, the mandarin. Yeah, unless you put a lot of like copepod culture in the tank to begin with. Now you're going to be collecting some wild live rocks, so you will have copepod culture coming in with that. That'll be a big help. So you should have an adequate culture going in there within a month or two, 3 at the outside. So I wouldn't do it right away, but I kind of took a risk giving it to them because their tank's only about 2 months old. But we'll see. It should be all right. Um, yeah, if you bring in culture, bring in like live rock, it's part and parcel of what I've been talking about lately with biodiversity. The importance of biodiversity is that it helps to sustain everything else in the tank. If you have a monoculture, one kind of, not fish so much because that's at the top of the chain, but below that chain, if you have one kind of bacteria, for example, there's nothing to balance that. There's nothing to challenge it, nothing to, kind of control it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So you need a broader spectrum of life forms in order to achieve a balance, and that's how you get harmony with more and more species of whatever it is on whatever level, microscopic level, all the way up.
Yeah. Well, you have a question. Let me see. Oh, you also had a member, but I was having trouble reading it because of the blue text on the green background.
Yeah, let me
get
it. That
text.
L. Nadler has become a new YouTube member of our channel. Welcome.
Yes.
Mrs. Ms. Nadler, welcome to you. You now have access to our 24/7 chat. If you go in the community button on the home page, you will find a link there for our 24/7 chat.
Discord.
Discord, that's right.
Yes.
Just
find a link to that.
Yeah, go into it's on the community page, right at the.
I had it copied too, though, at one point.
Okay, try to get that pasted. That's a few people have had trouble figuring it out, and I'm not sure why. You have to go to the Father Fish channel.
Yeah.
On Discord. Just getting into Discord is so not going to get you there.
Right. Yeah.
Pardon?
Okay, I got it. Under the community tab.
Yeah, the Father Fish community on Discord. Yeah.
It can be hard to find if you're not.
There are two. There's one that's not active. Another one that is. So, but if you go to the link on the community button on the home page, that'll get you there. Or follow a link that's posted here. We should have one up.
I just posted something. I don't know if it'll work because of my wrench, but I just posted it.
The Taylor P21. I'm a fairly new aquarist and have just found out about Father Fish. This is my first ever live stream on YouTube, and I can't wait to see what Father Fish has to say, nor can Father Fish wait to see what he has to say. Welcome, the Taylor.
Welcome, welcome.
That's
So
fun.
we had, is it
Yep.
Fisher? Something
You had a
else?
question. You had a question?
Did you get fantastic fish friends? They just became a snook.
Oh, neat. No, let me see it. There it is. Right there. Morgan and Andrew Johnson. I have to watch a replay of your premiere. Today with Waterchins, David Samsel.
All right, sounds good. Hope you get to see it.
And Morgan and Andrew Johnson just became YouTube members. So welcome, guys. Very nice.
Oh, they did? All right, they snuck
And
in.
there's, you said there's another one.
One before that, yes. At 6:09. That blue text on the green background is just terrible for me to read.
There it is. Fantastic friend. Fantastic fish friends. Welcome. So we have 4 new members today. My, that's really exciting. Thank you so much. You guys are going to love the Discord.
3, 4?
Three,
I
four,
thought it
four.
was 3.
Well, we had the first one right at the beginning.
Yeah. Did I miss one?
Yeah.
I only counted
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, you know, it's 4. It's fish.
Okay. I'll
And then 2 more down, right back to back.
yeah.
There they are. Where'd they go? Megan? Oh, I'm sorry. I had clicked on David Samsel. I thought that was one. It's
Oh,
Megan.
yeah, that was just a comment.
Megan and Andrew. Was there another one?
No, that's it. It's the person at the beginning.
All right, very good. Well, that's 3. That's pretty good. That's kind of amazing.
Fish friends. The name goes like in and out right away for some reason. So I'm sorry. It's very similar to another name. But you do have a question earlier about how do you cycle a tank?
Well, now, that's a really good question.
Or how long does it take, I guess, was the question.
It depends how you do it. By setting up a tank with a deep substrate, with dirt and a sand cap, and putting a little starter culture, some sand from an old tank, spreading that in a very thin layer over the top, putting plants in, putting some something from another tank, a piece of rock, driftwood, whatever. That starts the tank. So at that point, that's day 2, basically. At that point, you can put fish in the tank. The tank has a nitrifying chain going. It's not a big, strong, powerful one, but it's there. It's working. There's nitrifying bacteria that's building in the tank that's dealing with ammonia. Put a pair of fish in, 2 fish, 3 fish, 4 fish, a few small fish, and do not feed heavily. In fact, do not feed at all for the first couple of days. What you don't want to do is cause a sudden rush of ammonia in the tank, and that'll come from feeding the fish. Well, that's what creates ammonia. Feeding creates ammonia.
And the fish just being in there.
Well, not really. I mean, only if they have been eating.
Well, when they breathe, the oxygen going through the gills creates
But that's not going to create ammonia.
ammonia.
That'll create carbon dioxide.
Well, what I read was that it creates ammonia. It's
Yeah,
it comes
I don't
out
think
through your gills.
I don't think that's true. I don't know how it could. It's not. They're not consuming a biological by breathing. You know, they're consuming free oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, it's not going to create much, if any, pollutants, if you will. And what you want to do is you want to get that system developing. So go slow at the beginning, put in 2 or 3 fish, and then wait a week. Then you can add a couple more, in the second week. So you can start keeping fish in your tank really right away, day one. I've told this story before of Merle Cohen. Merle Cohen was one of the first and biggest importers of tropical fish in this country. He started back in the 1950s, bringing in millions and millions of fish from wherever he could get them. Started with Florida, jumped to South America, started getting fish in from the Far East, saltwater and freshwater. And what he learned was that he could set a tank up with fish in it day one, put the water in, put the fish in. But he did not feed those fish for several days. And then when he did feed them, he fed them very minuscule, very tiny amounts of food. So to give the bacteria a chance to build up and develop in order to be able to cope with the biological activity going on in the tank. And he kept fish successfully for 50 years doing that, starting way back when. All of this stuff about needing to wait for a month, I don't know what you're waiting for. Nothing is going to happen until you put fish in the tank. It's not going to start really becoming a balanced tank until you've got some living animals in there. If you simply put plants in and let it sit, the plants aren't going to be able to grow because they're not going to have any nutrition. The bacteria is not going to be able to grow because they don't have anything to feed on. You have to have higher order animals in there in order to be able to get anything going. Now you can put waste in, you can put fish food in there, you can put whatever kind of garbage you've got in there, and that'll kickstart it. But why in the world would you want to do that? It's like pouring a bottle of live bacteria culture. Pouring a bottle of live bacteria culture in a tank is the same thing as peeing in the tank. There is no difference. The live bacteria that might have been in that tank, in that jar, when it was packaged, is no longer aerobic bacteria. It is anaerobic bacteria. It has burned off every bit of oxygen that was in there. Now, some people say bacteria doesn't die. Whether it does or doesn't, there are different kinds of bacteria, many different species and different orders of bacteria. And 2 of the orders are aerobic and anaerobic. So if you put anaerobic, that is bacteria that exists in the absence of free oxygen, you put that in an oxygen-rich tank, it's not going to survive. It will precipitate into the dirt. It'll run away. It won't survive. It's not going to generate the kind of bacterial development that your system needs in order to be able to do things like burn ammonia, nitrification. It won't develop nitrifying bacteria. What will develop nitrifying bacteria is starter culture from an existing tank. A little bit of sand, a rock, a piece of driftwood, some plants, some fish, even some water. When you bring your fish home, here's a good example. When you bring your fish home, if those fish came out of a healthy tank, you need to put that water in your tank with the fish. If it came out of a big box store that has sick fish and is obviously full of chemicals, I wouldn't dare do that. But if it came out of your neighbor's tank or a fellow hobbyist's tank, they would not give you an unhealthy fish. I hope, I trust. They would give you a healthy fish from a healthy tank. So by all means, use that water. You want to increase biodiversity, and that's how you do it. You increase biodiversity by increasing the volume of animals that you're putting in the tank on all levels, especially microscopic levels. So you go out and you get a handful of mud from a local creek and you put the mud in the tank. Now, we recommend doing that when you set it up, but you could do it if you got leaf mold, for example, from a pond or a creek. Get a cup full of leaf mold that's rotted leaf material, dump it in your tank. It will bring an enormous amount of very productive life into your tank and will help to increase the biodiversity of that tank. And that's really the key, to increase the biodiversity. That gives you a more stable, a more balanced, and a healthier tank overall. How'd we get on that? I don't know. You asked me about how you
while you were
how you yeah. See, I don't even use the language anymore. I really don't, because it's kind of meaningless.
Well, while you were talking, I was looking up, do fish excrete urea when they breathe? And the answer I found was most people assume that fish urine is made up mainly of ammonia, but fish excrete only about 2 to 25% of their nitrogen waste via their urine. Most is excreted from their gills as ammonia. So I've read that a couple times in different places.
They're excreting urea.
Well,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
So just by having a fish in the tank, you don't even need to feed them.
Right, that's going to build the nitrifying bacteria.
Yeah.
Right. What you don't want to do is overwhelm it. You don't want to start feeding heavily because they're hungry. Let them be hungry. A hungry fish is a healthy fish. If your fish is not hungry, it's because it's sick. If it's hungry, it's healthy. A healthy fish is a hungry fish, is a healthy fish. If it's acting hungry, then you've got a healthy fish. Allow it to remain healthy. Don't feed it to the point where it becomes sick, because that really does happen.
You could also start off your fish tank with just snails, right? And then, add a fish or two after that. Just slowly build up your community in that method.
Well, the idea is to put some animals in there.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody wants a tank full of snails, but I'd rather have fish than snails.
If you got multiple tank syndrome, you can just throw them in and move them to the next one when you're done.
I see. Let's see.
You had a question about, if you've never had a fish tank before, how would you just start out with, if you bought a kit or something from Walmart?
Go to my channel. I think the very top list of videos is beginners. Videos for beginners. I have a whole series of videos for beginners that teach exactly how to set up your tank at the beginning for the first time. I recommend you view them. Sit there and watch a few and begin to get a sense of what you're really facing. Here's the thing, folks. This tank that you have is is not simply a glass box with water in it. That's not what it is. It is a living organism. If you're treating it as a living organism, it will thrive as a living organism. If you're treating it as a bird in a cage, it will require continuing and constant maintenance until everything finally dies. That's why people wind up in a day or a week or a month or 2 months or 3 months with everything dying, because they're not trying to maintain a living organism. They're trying to maintain a bird in a cage. They're trying to maintain one fish or one group of fish in an otherwise sterile environment. And that's a recipe for absolute disaster, absolutely 100% of the time. There's no way around that. Eventually, you're going to have a tank. You're going to have to begin viewing your tank as an organism. An organism like our bodies. We are ourselves an organism. That is, we are a system of organs, a system of systems that are all working together to allow us to live, to be alive and to function. Same with your fish tank. Your fish tank is a body, a group of systems that are working together. You start by putting them together, one and then two and then three, and you build on that and get more systems working together so that you can have a living organism. That's what a tank is. It's a living organism. It's a system of organic systems that are working in cooperation with each other. You got to get that in your brain, because if you don't, you're going to fail. You can do it if you follow my system. You can set it up so it'll do that automatically. It'll do it all by itself because you're putting in the basics to be able to make that happen. The key to that system is to leave it alone, to not get in there and start throwing chemicals in it every time you see something you don't like. That's what kills tanks. Poisoning them. Taking the notion that if something is wrong with a tank, you need to poison it is guaranteed disaster. That's what causes disaster. In point of fact, that's what causes organisms to die. They get out of balance and somebody throws a bunch of chemicals at them and they die. So don't do that. Don't start throwing bottle this and bottle that, pill this and powder that into your tank, because it's not going to make anything any better. It'll make everything a lot worse. Just don't do it. Let your tank develop and build and grow. It knows how to do it. You just need to give it the basic elements to make that happen. If you don't know what they are, watch some of my videos. There's a lot of information there and a lot of detail. Simple way, set up a brand new tank that will be successful. I guarantee it will be successful. I'll send you free fish if it doesn't. How's that?
Sounds good. Sounds like a deal.
But you gotta make a promise. If you screw it up and kill everything, you gotta start over and set it up right.
Right.
Then I'll send you some fish. What else you got? You got a question?
Sunset Jen said, "Hi, Father Fish. Is there any types of leaf litter that is not recommended to use in tanks?
Gee, that's a good question. I'm not aware of any. I mean, they may be. There certainly are toxins. Okay, here, I got it. There certainly, you've all seen videos of native primitive people going out in the forest and collecting various saps and leaves and so forth and making a brew out of that and putting it in a stream, and it asphyxiates or otherwise knocks out the fish. Well, that the problem with that is that it's using live organic material. So what you don't want to do is pick a bunch of leaves off a tree in the middle of the summer and throw them in your fish tank. You do not, expressly do not want to do that. But if there's leaf litter in a pond and there are little fish and bugs swimming around it, you can feel very confident that that's healthy. There are things living with it. It is no longer has the enzymes in it and the other living tissue in it that might otherwise be toxic. All of those are dead and gone and washed away, broken down and disappeared. And what's left is essentially the skeleton of the leaf, which is organic and which deteriorates. And that's the whole point of it. So I would say, in terms of actual litter that is aged litter, aged mulm in a pond or a creek or some other living body of water, that's going to be safe 100% of the time. What will not be safe is picking leaves off a tree and throwing them in your fish tank. I would never do such a thing. That's going to at least create pollution in the tank. As a bare minimum, it'll pollute the water.
Right.
Good question.
You could do maple leaves or oak leaves as long as they're on the ground and like all brown and dried up, right?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Once they fall off the tree, then they're pretty well wiped out. There ain't much chlorophyll or anything else left in them. But even at that, I probably would put them in a container. I did this actually years ago. I put oak leaves I had a 29, filled it up with oak leaves, and I got an Aponogeton bulb, the Vulvaceous, put it in there, and honest to God, that plant completely filled the 29-gallon. I mean, it exploded. It just loved the nutrients from those dried oak leaves.
Wow.
That was 1965 when I did that.
You have a good memory.
For certain things, I do. For fish, I remember fish stuff. That's about all I remember. I don't remember names, places. Fish stuff I remember. It's funny.
Every now and then I get like a memory that comes back to me. I'm like, oh, that was a good one.
Really?
Yeah.
What else we got?
I think about stuff though. I used to have a great memory when I was a kid, and I was like, Mom, you've told that story already so many times.
100 times.
I remember word for word what you said.
Just start repeating it to her.
And I've turned into my mom.
Right. All right, Daddy Wish. You might possibly bring in parasites from outside. Okay.
Here we go.
Might possibly is not an intellectual discipline that I pay any attention to at all. Because might possibly also means might not possibly.
Right.
There's no difference between the two. So whether it might possibly or might not possibly is not relevant to really much of anything. Examine what you're doing and pay attention. And Danny covered that in his comment. He said, if your pond fish are doing great, it should be okay. And that's good. That works.
Yeah. Well, you have a question from the Taylor P, or I'm not sure how to say that. Taylor P21. He or she would like to know, how do I become a member? I'm not sure.
Go to the home page, click on the membership button, and then select the level that you're interested in participating in.
All right, hang on. I'm on your home page. I don't see a membership button.
Yeah, there is, right at the top. Am I gonna go there and look?
Homepage?
Are you on?
Are you talking about the join button? Is that what you're referring to?
I don't know. Let me look.
It's got to be that one. There's nothing that says membership, but you can.
Mine says no. Yeah, there should be below the join. If you're on the home page, are you on the home page?
Yeah, I just clicked Father Fish. I said open in a new tab.
Okay, and then what do you see on the page?
All right, so if you hit the join button, then it says.
Well, you can do that.
There's $4.99, Barracuda and Tarpon.
Yeah, you can do that. There is also a series of buttons: home, videos, playlists, community membership channel. See those?
Yes.
There's one called membership.
I don't have that on mine. I have home, videos, playlists, community channels, and then about. So I think you have to click that join button if you're not seeing a membership tab.
Maybe
your page looks different from ours.
Well, maybe you do need to join to have it. I don't know. I've got it on mine. So click on the join button.
And then the Taylor P also says, Father Fish, will your altered Wallstead method work for Discus?
Absolutely.
I've heard they're sensitive.
Absolutely. Yeah, and really effectively, because it creates a healthy, balanced aquarium. I've kept many Discus in my deep substrate tanks. Here's oh boy, Discus.
They're expensive.
All right. I do not ascribe to the principle that Discus must be kept in a sterile environment. There are those who do. I have a good friend, lives in the Tampa area, sells a lot of fish online. He maintains Discus and some other fish in highly sterile environments. The difficulty with his fish is that too many regular hobbyists cannot keep his fish alive in their tanks because they have no tolerance for bacteria, for example. The fish that you're buying from your local fish store or from a breeder or whatever are fish that are living in stable conditions. When you get them, if you're able to put them in a stable tank at a temperature of minimum 82, preferably 85 degrees, and feed them sparingly, but healthfully. In other words, don't give them a bunch of flake food. That's not healthy feeding. Give them live food. Blackworms is good. little bits of chicken or fish are good. Anything that is meaty and alive and has protein in it. The macaw is sounding off back there. I think he's talking to the gray. Let me close the door. It's a little noisy. What are you talking about, Gator? Gator. I know.
Poor bird.
I know. Gator's sounding off. There, that'll be better.
Sharpies, who is looking like one of the three musketeers? Comment.
Right. So anyway, the whole deal with Discus, a lot of people want to get paranoid about Discus and about keeping them in super duper clean environments and changing the water every 3 days and all this stuff. You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
It'll probably work. But the minute you can't do it anymore, they're going to die. Better to put them in a stable, healthy tank and give them the best opportunity, and they will do fine. They'll live indefinitely. They'll be perfectly happy. You don't need to treat them any differently than you do any other fish. Megan and Andrew, hi, Father Fish. How often would you feed a community tank that has at least 150 small fish and inverts? Not enough space to list them here. Don't know how what size tank that is. There'd be a difference between it being a 20-gallon and a 200-gallon. And my advice would be different.
They have
How often would I feed them? No, I would not feed them more than once a day under any circumstances. But you can feed more, or you can feed less. The amount of times you feed a fish is really it's a matter of personal discretion. It's a matter of what you're comfortable doing and what you're prepared to do as a way of being able to keep up with your hobby. If you're piling the food to them, you're going to have some way to remove excess nutrients in that tank, or you're going to wind up in trouble. So just try to achieve a balance. Try not to put so much in there that you're overwhelming the system or that you're dramatically increasing the bio load on the tank. Try not to do that. The more fish you have, the more plants you should have. Plants will always take up the slack. So load your tank up with plants if you're loading it up with fish, and you'll have a better chance of being successful.
Danny says, I have successfully net trained African cichlids.
Oh, that's interesting.
Anytime I put a cup in my water, the Daniels swim into it.
You mean net train them to run away from the net? I do that pretty successfully. That's why I use a big net. I use the biggest net I can find to catch fish.
You could use your hand if they're that big, right?
Pardon?
You could just use your hand if they're that big.
Well, I do. I caught that mandarin goby by hand today. I always catch bettas by hand. If it's a little tiny tank, I can do that. What else we got?
I didn't see anything yet. There was a follow-up by Megan and Andrew about what fish they have. I don't think they said what size tank it is, though.
Fantastic Fish friends, do you recommend using a journal for your fish tanks setup and maintenance? You betcha. And I don't do it, and more's the pity. If I had a journal system, I wouldn't have to think about writing a book, or I'd already have it. Yeah, it helps you to remember too, because you can go back 6 months and see something that happened back then that you may not remember, particularly if you have notes about what it was and how and why it happened. it's a great way to be able to really treat to take your aquarium experience more seriously. And if you have a journalist's heart, Ma, you're home free. I wish I did. I never have. I've never had the heart of a journalist.
No, you're into theater.
Theater, yeah, right. True enough. Bottom Dwellers Aquatics, my flower horn just destroyed a red rosy minnow. Might give him one more tonight. Not sure I want to try out live minnows with him. Yeah, try them out. They're fine. He'll chase them down and do them in. He'll love it. The chase is good for him. Now, there are fish you don't want to feed live to, particularly big fish, because it just becomes uproarious. I mean, they wind up just jumping out of the tank and creating chaos. But for small fish, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. The Taylor P21 followed up saying, I love Discus, but have been too intimidated by how much filtration they require. So I was just wondering if all that talk's just hype, or if you only need what Father Fish recommends.
Yeah, if you really are interested in Discus and have the resources to be able to start with little ones, not tiny ones. 3-inch. 3-inch is a good starter size. Not even 2-inch. 2 inches is okay if it's a big 2-inch, like 2.5 inch. 2.5 to 3 inches is a really good size. Those fish are 3 to 4 months old minimum. They're healthy. Make sure they're healthy. They've been eating, for a long time. They're growing well. They should be in really good shape. Start with those. You shouldn't have to pay more than $50 for one. Should be able to get them for $35. And just work on that. Get 3 or 4, and work with those. It'll teach you how to do it. It'll teach you what they need and what's going to work for them and how to keep them healthy. Don't be afraid. Don't be intimidated by them. There's no need to be intimidated by a fish just because of its price tag. I think that's right. Yeah.
I've not seen babies in the store locally, so it might be something you have to find online or from a breeder. Do you sell any baby Discus?
I do. Yeah, I do. Most shops will bring them in if they don't have them. If you ask them, they'll bring them in. And the wholesalers do a really good job with Discus because they got to keep them alive, and they got to get them from somewhere where they're going to be alive. So they tend to be pretty hardy. I've really not had problems with Discus over the last 5 years or so. It's been pretty stable.
Yeah. How often do people come in and buy Discus from you?
As often as I have them. I rarely have them sit here very long. It's a week or two at the most. My problem is just being able to afford to get them, because when I get them, it's a couple of $100. Mm-hmm. I just put an order in today with no Discus, and it was over a $500 order. Wow. And that's just to get a lot of basic stuff I needed, plus the stuff I know I can sell. So I really wanted to get Discus, but I didn't have the extra couple of $100 to be able to get them. So maybe next week, if things look good this week, and they should, because I got a bunch of stuff and I can sell right away. So
it might need to be a pre-order fish. You're looking for
yeah, absolutely. You can go to a shop and pre-order them, but make sure you can get them on approval. Don't get stuck taking a fish home you don't want. Don't do that. If there's something wrong with it, if you don't like it, it's the wrong color, configuration isn't right, whatever, don't take it home. Wait until they get something that you like.
Yeah.
Even if you've prepaid for it. Don't
Especially
take it.
that kind of money.
You know, that's, I mean, as a shop owner, I know I take that risk when I get fish in.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's got to be something that people want to buy and when they come. I would not expect a person to take a sick fish home or a damaged fish or something that had some kind of a defect on it. Wouldn't expect them to, even if it was a special order item.
Right.
I would take that up with my supplier, not
Yeah,
with my
I was
customer.
gonna say that. Well, you have a comment about or someone made a comment that when you're bringing in stuff from your pond and outside, to make sure you keep an eye out for the dragonfly larvae. So that they make a good point and a good reminder for us.
That's the big one. Yeah, that's right. And they're big. They're not little. It is possible you could get tiny ones that are virtually microscopic. You will see them soon enough because they'll be feeding on microscopic food, and before long they're going to be half an inch long, and you'll see them. And when you do, you want to get them out of there. They're fascinating. They're really interesting. But if you have if you have a tank full of little tiny guppies, you might be interested in watching how they catch and eat one. It is fascinating. If you got a lot of little fish, a lot of baby fish, you know, it's fun to be able to do that to give you some sense of how predation occurs, particularly with dragonflies.
I find they kind of look like a stink bug. If I'm
Well,
remembering right.
they're a little longer, you know, they're kind of elongated.
Similar
Usually.
looking though.
And they have big jaws. I mean, they're freaky. They have legs that they walk on, with a big head and a big mouth. They're pretty aggressive looking little creatures.
Yeah, that's something you want to mess with.
Guess who's on the phone?
I don't know. Who?
Ro is on the phone. Hi, Ro.
Hey, Lou. How are you?
I'm good. You're on our live stream.
Oh, are you online right now?
Yeah, I sure am. And
oh, I didn't know that. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. You're
I
on too. And we all want to say hello to you.
Well, thank you. And hello to you guys.
Cass is up here right now. We got a whole bunch of people in the channel.
Hi, Ro.
That's awesome. Hey, guys.
So how are you doing?
I was calling you to ask you. Well, I was calling you to ask you about your Florida pygmy sunfish, and if you catch them wild or if you breed them.
I've got them wild right now. I just brought about 25 in. I've sold a few. I still have 15 or 20, I think.
Are they easy to breed, or do you know much about the breeding behavior?
Yeah, they are. They're not hard to breed. You want to do them in an outdoor vat. They'll breed through the summer.
That's what I'm looking into getting, and I seen those, and I thought I'd like to get some. Do they stay that blue and black color their whole life, or is that just when they're juvenile?
No, they do. And that's full grown. They don't get an inch long.
Oh, really? Okay, awesome. Even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah, they're a neat little fish. Yeah, I've got them listed on Get Gills. Just put an order in on Get Gills. I'll give you some extras.
Okay, I'll do that, Lou. I'll do that. That's what I was doing, trying to get on my tubbing fish. I'm wanting to get some tetras and everything else too to breed for tubbing.
Wonderful. That'll be fun.
Trying to get an early start this year.
So how are you doing?
Well, I'll hop off here and I'm doing good. I've been busy. I'm trying to breed some green, purple, and orange shrimp. And
nice.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get everything set up for my tubbing and trying to get an early start this year. So I got a late start last year, but I didn't know you were doing a live stream. I'll hop on.
Well, we're doing, yeah, hop on. We do Saturday and Sunday at 6 in the evening.
Okay.
And then Monday through Friday, 9 in the morning.
All right. All right, well, I'll get off here now then and come join your live stream, babe.
Okay, very good. Nice to hear from you.
All right.
Right, bye, Ro.
You too, sweetie. Bye-bye.
Nice.
Yeah. Pygmy sunfish.
Pygmy sunfish. Great little fish.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. How we doing here? Where are we at? We're at 7 o'clock, aren't we? Look at
Yes,
that.
we are. We're
How
just
time flies.
I think.
Past your bedtime, Lee. Where'd he go? I saw him in here
He's there. He just made a comment.
saying hello to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank you all. It's wonderful to be here. Anything else we need to get into?
Not really. You had a testimony about someone who has 10 full-grown discus in a 125-gallon tank. That was Erwin.
Nice.
They have a deep substrate in Amazon swords and driftwood.
Perfect.
And they keep it at 28.5 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit.
Well, that's about 80 degrees, I think, isn't it?
We think in Fahrenheit here.
Yeah, I know. I
And
can
refuse to change.
look it up.
Yeah,
20.
we can look it up easily, but then I have to go do that.
F. It's 82.4.
I got 83.3.
All right. Well, nice to have you all here. Good to be with you. We're going to sign off. We've been up here for an hour, having a good time. Hope everybody has enjoyed themselves. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Welcome to all the new people. We're so excited to have new folks coming in and plugging in. Thank you so much, and welcome to our new members. Don't forget to get over on Discord. It gives you a 24/7 chat, and you can post pictures, so it makes it really a lot of fun. Steven's over there. I'm there. Thomas is there. Just a lot of us are over. Chevy Fish is there quite frequently, so it'll be fun. We'll have a chance to talk more extensively. Won't be limited to an hour. Nice to be with you all. I'm gonna
take a break tomorrow. What's your plan? You
no,
probably.
we're gonna be up. Joey will be here in the morning, so we're gonna be.
I don't know if I want to give up my Mondays.
The fish.
That's okay. No, I already made arrangements.
All right, we'll make an
already got it covered. So thanks for coming on tonight, Cass.
All right, thanks.
Listen, talk to Mary and see if you two would like to do the weekends. That could be a lot of fun. Saturday and Sunday. See if she's up for that. That could be really a lot of fun. I think everybody would enjoy it.
Well, we came on today kind of earlier because the afternoon's a little bit better than evenings for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Sometimes.
Well, let me know.
All right, I will. Okay.
See you later in the week. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
One place to go to if you have thick, your fish may itch or even flash. So Father Fish is your one-stop cap. Cap it all with an inch of sand. Cap it all with an inch of sand. Raise the temperature with a helping hand. And add some garlic on top of that sand. The it will go, your plants will grow, and all of your fish will have a happy home. Father Fish, so Father Fish, your one-stop wonder if you keep fish. Starring Sir Father Fish and all his followers on the Father Fish channel. Over to you, Sir Father Fish.
Wonderful. Thank you all. Bye for now. We'll be here 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, Eastern Time. Hope to see you then. Bye for now.
Yeah, bye.